For those of you joining us, thank you, thank you, thank you. It means so much to us that you've taken your time out of your day to join us. We have a special guest today, Christina from PBFX. And today we're going to jam on a bunch of custom AI stuff, which I'm really excited about. I'm personally excited because it's rare that I find someone as, we'll use the word passionate instead of nerdy about AI stuff as I am. Um, but it's also, I have my workflow and I've learned it and I've learned a lot by trial and error over the time because this technology is so new that there isn't necessarily a way to do a thing or not to do a thing. There's just things that miraculously work, right? Um, so it's going to be really fun for me to see under Christina's hood and see how she thinks and how she starts to create prompts. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Christina quickly so she can introduce herself, tell you a little bit about PBFX, and we'll go from there.
Hi guys, my name is Christina Hansen. I'm the co-founder of Photo Booth Effects. Me and Garrett, we both love AI. I personally say I'm a little obsessed with it. Uh, as soon as the photo booth companies started doing AI, I just kind of didn't want to go back. For me, I consider the photo booth like a portal. I really love seeing guests, being able to see themselves transform, into something else in a different environment, different clothes, stuff like that. It's kind of like playing dress up almost, and I really like it. But yeah, I enjoy it. I have a good time, and I enjoy seeing the guests happy and helping everyone else out there who is also wanting to learn about AI. But Photo Booth Effects, we founded it because I noticed that a lot of folks out there kind of needed support. They had a lot of questions. So instead of you know, trying to answer everyone in the comments, I thought, hey, why not start a community and start helping people? And so we started putting together, like these prompt packs that we drop every week that people can tweak and put into their software and use and edit. And it kind of doubles as a training tool. And so we do have plans to like help people learn more about AI and just, it's a really cool tool. And I feel like, everyone as a user is more empowered, if you know what you're doing and you feel more confident and you can go out there in the market and be like, hey, look at this cool stuff that we can make and print money, you know.
But you can
I'm here
also
with
do
you
it at
guys.
home.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm compiling some of the questions that are coming into the poll that we put out there. And while
Okay.
I'm doing that, I'm going to ask you a few more questions that I think I would love to hear. It's like, I guess, what was your intro to AI? How did you first bump into it? Where did you bump into it?
Like in the photo booth industry or like in general?
I think both, right? I think like this technology is so nascent, and what people refer to as AI is really vastly different from person to person. Like people don't really think about the fact that autocomplete on your iPhone is AI, or that
Right.
your vacuum, like going and cleaning your house while you're not home, is also AI, right? So
Yep.
people think AI is this like brand new thing, but it's been around for decades, and we're just as consumers and prosumers getting access to some of these things that before have been really enterprise level items.
Right. Yeah. So I think when I first realized I was incorporating AI is when I started using ChatGPT back in the day. And, I would prompt really formally and ask questions and treat it like a calculator. But over time, I feel like I developed a relationship with it and the tone started to change. Like you start to train the model with your personality. So I started to enjoy it more and I playfully call ChatGPT my bestie. And she's pretty sassy. So if she says something on screen, please forgive her. She's feisty. But that's how I first got started, and then I started doing image generation because I can't, draw or paint or anything cool like that. So I would make pictures on like Leonardo is my favorite. Um, and then I got a little bit into making music in AI, and I've tinkered a little bit with using AI to code. It's not my strong point, but I know it's there. And I've seen people make some really cool things, and I know that AI is not necessarily taking over the world, but people are getting more efficient with it in their business, and like it saves so much time. And I think it's a really important tool because if you're able to make things more efficient in your life, then you have more time to spend with your family and on things that you care more about, you
Yeah,
know.
I think that's really true. And I think something also, there's a few quotes about AI that are pretty cliche, but that I really love. One
Yeah.
of them is that AI is the worst today that it's ever going to be. So,
Yeah.
like literally tomorrow, it's going to be better. And there are
Yeah.
times with prompting that I have been trying to do something on a Friday and it wouldn't work. And on a Monday, it does. And it's like the things that our engines learn over the weekend is like wild, right? Just in a short amount of time. The other is that, there's all these people out there kind of saying AI is going to take your jobs. I don't believe that anytime soon, but I do truly believe that AI is people who know how to use AI are going to take your jobs because something that I've loved on the OutSnap side. So for those of you who don't know, I'm Nicholas, by the way, who are joining. I'm the founder of OutSnapped, which is a photo experience company. And as a result, we also built Pictor, which is what we are here showcasing today. Pictor was built because over the past decade of running a photo and video experience company, photo booths, video booths, etc., we kept asking all of the existing software providers for things that we needed, and they kept telling us we didn't need them. So about 4 years ago, we went to No Names, our favorite photo booth software, and said, "Hey, we need AI for a client." And they said, "No, you don't." And so we luckily got some funding from this client and built AI for them. Fast forward to 4 years later, everybody has paid attention to the AI trend in the photo booth industry and has used our R&D to kind of play some catch up. So that's where we are today. And what I will say is, luckily, on the OutSnap side, we have not laid anyone off, but we're able to do like infinitely more work than we used to, right? And it's incredible. When I used to answer a inquiry, it would take me 30 to 40 minutes to do it properly. It takes me 2 to 5 minutes now. And that I have created and trained my AI tools to do research on the person, to do research on the venue, to do research on all these things. So I cut and paste an inquiry email into my personal GPT that I made, and then it spits out all of this information for me, asks me a bunch of questions about how I want to handle the inquiry. And I can do this all vocally too. I don't even have to be typing anymore. So I'm having a conversation with the internet essentially. And then it drafts it up for me. I review it and I send it in 3 to 5 minutes. Wouldn't before researching a venue you've never heard of would take 3 to 5 minutes alone. So I love that. Um, can you tell me a little bit about your photo booth business pre-AI and how AI has changed it?
Yeah.
And
So,
one sec. To
oh,
clarify, the actual event side of things, not necessarily the back end side of things like I was just talking about. So like how have your event experiences changed for event guests?
yeah. So, when I first started and before I really started getting into AI, I was kind of nervous about it at first. Um, but I did a lot of smaller parties, like backyard birthday parties, small weddings. Nothing wrong with that. But I feel like once I got into AI, then it opened up the road for bigger clients. So most of my AI clients, probably like 99% of them, are high-end corporate clients. I get clients like Salesforce, Facebook, Google. They like AI because they have AI in their software already. So they're already, AI fans. And I love it because they're passionate about it and they don't say, "Oh, I don't like AI, that doesn't look like me," or whatnot. They're they eat it up because they live and breathe it already. So I feel like it opened up a whole new um uh facet of my business by incorporating AI. And now I kind of don't want to go back. Um,
Cool.
yeah.
So what I think we should do, I'm going to ask you one last question because I think this is important for people to know. And I hate being someone who sells the dream because I don't think that's true. I think that nothing comes without hard work. But I would like to just ask you, what's the difference in the price point when you were doing weddings and things like that versus your corporate? You don't have to do a dollar amount, like percentage wise, what's that jump been?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely, I agree that it would vary by market, but
Yep.
and I don't mind dropping, a dollar amount, but just full disclosure, I am in California, I am in the Bay Area. Things are already more expensive here than they are probably in other places. But because I am closer to like Silicon Valley, San Francisco, corporate clients may have a higher budget already. but like I was getting maybe pre-AI $500 to $800 photo booth jobs with like an iPad booth, standard photos. And then once I incorporated AI, I was landing big clients um, like Salesforce, probably maybe getting minimum 2,500 a booth up to five figures for a full day holiday event. So it really levels it up, I feel,
Yeah,
because it's not just, click and go. You have to put in time to prepare the prompts and get it approved. And so you're also doing more back end work um, than just click and go.
of course. Cool. So I think now let's shift gears, and why don't you go ahead and share your screen? I think I maybe have to give you the permission to do so. There you go.
Okay.
And so, what we're going to do today for everyone who's joining, I did see a bunch of questions come in. I touched on a bunch of them in my initial questions with Christina, but today we're going to focus on Christina's flow with creating a custom prompt within Pictor, and then the other tools she uses to refine and tune within Pictor. So, in doing this,
Oh, sorry, I was just struggling to share the screen. I'm not used to being on Zoom.
got it. Yeah,
Can you?
we're a Zoom family over here, but I always joke that it's like when I have to go into Teams or into Google, it's like a rental car. You're like, well, I know it has a gas tank on some side of this thing, and you just can't find it.
Yeah.
Um, as we go in today, I'm the first to admit that every piece of software has its pros and its cons, and I would love to hear what you love about the AI workflow within Pictor, and also be honest what you don't love about it, because that's how we're going to make the software better. So go on, hop in. If you have some initial questions or anything you want to ask people, go for it, and I'll be here to help as well.
Okay, yeah. So one of the first things I loved was the prompt builder. I have, tested a lot of different softwares, and this was by far my favorite. The reason why I love it is because it helps, a lot of folks that don't know how to prompt. I do have people out in different groups that DM me and say, Christina, how do you do it? I want to learn how to prompt. Can you teach me? And it's like, when you have a builder like this where it breaks it up in things that I'm pretty sure the majority of people don't think about. Don't quote me, but I've seen little prompts that are like maybe 2, 3 sentences long, and they don't include this much detail. So I feel like this really helps guide folks on what you need for a prompt, so you have your structure there. So I really, really like that. Another thing I like about Pictor is that you get pretty consistent results. Um, so you don't really get a lot of surprises. I do tend to stress test things for fun. I don't know if you guys have ever seen one of my videos in my own group, but I will test multiple prompts at a time. And the thing with other platforms is that sometimes you don't know what you're going to get. It may change, the output um, from render to render, but I feel like Pictor has been really consistent. Um, I haven't seen it really derail at all when I put a prompt in there and I run the same prompt over and over and over. So that makes me feel comfortable. I feel like I have to test less, and I feel like I'm not going to get surprises, out on um, the
Yeah.
field.
One
Yeah.
of the things that's been really important to us with Pictor, and thank you for pointing that out, is that we have this internal motto that things just have to work. They just
Hmm.
have to work or else they're not ready. And what I mean by that is, we've had, as I mentioned earlier, a pretty long head start on a lot of this work, and we have a team of developers that are working on it. I'm nerdy and I'm annoying and I bother them all day about things. And one of those things is consistency. We work in the event world, and if Outsnap showed up at an event and something very unexpected happened, it would not be a good look, and we don't want to put any of our clients, in that space either. So, while the other softwares have played catch up, I don't think that they've spent the time or the dedication on the refinement, because they're not photo boothers. They don't know what it's like to be at an event and you have someone show up nude who's standing there next to you, and you're trying to explain it to the client and everybody else. Like, it's a no-go, right? So
I,
we have really, 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 really worked hard to make sure that people of all different shapes and sizes are represented with the AI. And I also want to be honest that there is no 110% perfection in this world yet. And that's kind of what makes it so exciting, right? It's like each time is like a scratch off ticket. You don't entirely know what you're going to get. But at the same time, we need to have guardrails on all this stuff to make sure that we're not going to get $1 billion lotto ticket in the wrong direction, right? So the other thing that Christina mentioned is stress testing. To give people an idea of what that means getting your prompt set up and then running it with different source photos to test it and make sure you get nothing unexpected. So, for example, we're doing an event with the US Open for a very, very large client. We've had close to 6,000 people use the booth, which is awesome. It's one of our biggest AI events yet. In person, we've done some very large virtual AI events. But what's really to put it into perspective for that event, we did multiple rounds of 2,000 renders to make sure that we weren't getting any surprises. So these are things that you really need to take into consideration. That was above and beyond, in my opinion. And there were so many variations that it really escalated. But for a typical event, we're doing 50-ish test renders to make sure we're not going to have any surprises. So cool. Christina, back to you.
Yes. Where were we?
You were singing our praises. No, I'm kidding. You were gonna walk through and create a custom prompt, I believe.
Yes. So something that I put together for everyone was this. I noticed on the community board, a lot of people were requesting sports card related prompts. So I said, hey, why not I just make sports card related prompts for everyone? So I broke it up. And kind of changed the colors a little bit and the lighting variated, from here to there. I did my best to keep out logos, which was a good challenge for me, especially because it's sports related. But yeah, I put in some work and tried to make sure that these were safe for you guys to use. That is generic. I did double check that. That is not an actual logo. And so I have a couple prompts here. You guys are going to get a much prettier version of this, I promise. This is my draft. I don't Canva. But if you guys want to, we can edit it live or we can make something from scratch. It's up to you. Let me know what you want to do. And we'll do that. We can change the colors. We can change the position. We can change the background. We can try to make a whole new sport that I don't already have included using one of these prompts as the base. This style is called like editorial realism, where it kind of looks like you're, making the AI perform like a camera, versus being, stylized into like a different texture.
Cool.
So let me know what you guys want to do.
So Marcus was the first person to shout out in the chat. So I think if you're up for the challenge, he has asked for a hockey player.
Hockey. Oh, you know what? That is actually on my list that I didn't do. A hockey player. I have a
You
hockey player. I
want
have
to
a
take the
player.
challenge?
Yes, we can do a hockey player. I just know that I did struggle a lot to try to get logos and branding out of it, which I think is why I didn't include it in this handout. But we can try it and we can troubleshoot it live so you can kind of see my workflow of how I try to do it.
Gotcha. So the other request
Mhm.
was for track and field.
Track and field. Okay, so let me write these down. So we have hockey and track and field.
Yep. And so I think, as Christina is saying this, I want to be very upfront with people that this can take a very long time. So we likely won't get to a finished prompt today, but we're going to get to see under the hood how Christina works and how we can get there. One of the things she mentioned is the logo scenario. It's real, especially with sports teams, because the way AI works, for those of you who are not familiar, is it essentially takes every photo it's ever seen in the world, gobbles it up, and goes, oh, that's what a hockey player looks like. And every single one of those hockey players, not every, I would say 89%, 90% of those hockey players have some logo on their shirt. So one of the tips that I have is, instead of saying no logo, is to create a different logo. So you saw in the example she had, it said baseball across their chest. So if you make a logo that says baseball, you're going to still get some team name, but it's generic. Christina, do you want to tell them what you just prompted?
Oh
And
yeah.
what-
Um, sorry. What I told ChatGPT is what I did was I copy and pasted this prompt because I want it to kind of look like this editorial realism. So it's kind of like a cheat sheet for you as well if you want to make other things from it. So I said, let's edit this prompt for a masculine guest. Let's do hockey player themed in an ice rink in an action pose, getting ready to hit the puck. Modify this prompt structure. When I prompt ChatGPT, I talk to it like we're having a conversation. I almost talk to it like it's a person. So I don't want to overcomplicate the prompts for you guys. Can you guys see this little black bar? Move that somewhere else. Okay. So let's see. And because I already fed it the prompt formulated for Pictor, it's giving it back to me as a Pictor formatted prompt. So we're going to go and we're going to test it together. So I put
And
Matt.
while you're cutting and pasting those in, I'm just going to answer some questions. So what Christina has done is told ChatGPT how to format our prompts. We're also working on an advanced mode that you can just drop any text you want in. We did it this way. It's a little bit more of like a Mad Libs where you get prompted for each individual part of a prompt. Um, Richie had made a mention about ink, not rink. I think you made a typo, Christina, but my guess is that ChatGPT got the reference to hockey rink and probably fixed it already.
Yeah, it says
Um,
rinks.
Yep. And then Alexander asked, would you say prompting is the biggest factor for a good image generation? I would say single-handedly, you can't get a good image generation without the prompt. You'll always get a high quality output. And what I mean by that is like it'll be good resolution, it'll look cool. But in order to get the thing you want, yeah, you need to really work on this prompt to get to the output. Um, and now what Christina is doing is she's adding a test image, and you'll see she has a bunch of different people in there. So as she's testing these prompts, she's probably going to switch people at a certain point to
Yeah.
see how they represent on other people. Um, while that is rendering out, someone, Christina, had a question and asked about how does Pictor do with hands and feet? How does Pictor do with hands and feet? I've had some experiences I can share, but I would love to hear from your side.
Yeah, well, I feel like with the body all together, when you put it in subject and action pose, see, like here's our test render for hockey, and I can save this as well, and we can distribute this out later if you guys want that. Is that it's all about, the subject. You can shape their body here. See how it says muscular, agile build, intense game face, laser sharp focus. So that's the face he's giving us, and that's, his body structure. I could, shape it here for a more feminine shape, or you can really manipulate it. Hands, the thing with hands and AI is that I don't want to nerd out on you guys, but my research says that the data set for AI engines is that all the hands in the training, they're inconsistent. So that's why they come out funny looking. And if the camera doesn't see the hands, then it doesn't know what they look like. So, for example, if I test a photo with someone who's only the head, but there's hands in the picture, then it may get it wrong because it's guessing. So you want to give the engine as much information as you can, so that it gets it right. Because otherwise, it's guessing, and it might get it wrong. And that's not platform specific. That's everywhere. You
Right.
know. So how does this look, guys? Do you guys want to change this? Do you like it? Do you want me to save it? Do you want me to try a different person? I can't see the chat. So
Yeah. Marcus, why don't you just turn on your mic and ask so she can hear you? But with adding a team logo, we would never ever recommend adding a consistent logo with AI if the client is going to be protective of their IP and their logo. And I don't mean that in the like, do we have the permission to use it? I mean, if you just stop and imagine what a Coca-Cola logo looks like right now, in your head, you're 100% correct. If you were able to get that on paper, you'd be about 80% correct, right? And what I mean by that is with IP, people are so protective of these things that not having it 100% can sometimes be worse than not having it at all. There are going to be places in which we will be able to put in logos afterwards or have better tools in the future to be able to place an actual logo, but I do not recommend placing a uh, logo in using AI.
What if they provided you with the team jersey? Are we able to use that at all?
Yes and no, but it's still the same kind of concept. So if you think of it can be confusing because these look photorealistic, right? But the reality is that if you think of this much more like a painter has good days and bad days, and photorealistic style and not photorealistic style. And as a result, you know, 50% of them could be perfect and 50% of them could be totally not perfect. Another thing that I will add to Christina's mention of the hands is that we're currently doing this event, like I mentioned, with US Open, and we've had thousands of renders, and 99% of them, the hands look great. 1% of them, we got six fingers. Like, I'm being honest about the things. We've had a handful of things where people get three arms. That's the reality, right? But we're protecting you from the embarrassing things like nudity, which I've seen happen in some other apps. And the other thing is, I think Christina mentioned this, is if someone doesn't love their output, they just hop in and take another photo and they get a completely different output.
Yeah. And I think you guys, I tested the click and deploy. You guys send out like 4, is that right? So they already have options to pick from. I haven't tried it at a live event. I've just,
Yeah, there's a lot of click and deploys. I think like 10 or 15 on the homepage. And something that she's running into here is also there's a kind of a sweet spot between too much of a request and not enough of a request. And that's where this real trial and error comes in, right? So she has two hockey sticks at the moment.
yeah,
So every change you make will have a butterfly effect somewhere else. So for example, you may get a prompt that looks amazing in golden yellow, and then if you change it to maroon, you're going to start getting extra hockey sticks, and you have to now go back and re-engineer those twice. Something that Christine is doing now that I do all the time is I've taken the image that it put out and said, hey, look what happened. This is my concern. Can you help me think of other ways to iterate around this? Which I believe is what Christina did.
yep. I call it the feedback loop, which is another word for the scientific method. So basically, you're in the lab, literally making prompts. And I know people joke about that, but it's a real thing. Let's see.
Yeah, what Sam just said in the chat is what we do. Anything that we want to be exact, we include in the overlay. So you could have a team logo as part of the bottom banner or overlay, or create something interesting with the team logo and then have the hockey player in roughly the team colors without a logo. That's what I would suggest in that.
Yeah, team colors would suffice. Um, so right now the hockey players all in maroon. Is there a way to get them to be in a certain team player colors?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
we could do that.
Christina, what is the change you're affecting right now? Just so
Um,
everyone.
yeah. So I asked ChatGPT to try to fix the double hockey stick. So what it'll do is it'll reword the prompts. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of guilty sometimes of not reading the prompts like I should. I lean on ChatGPT heavily, but sometimes I'll ask, what's the difference between that prompt and this prompt? What changed if I don't see it? And it'll tell me what the difference was. That'll take a moment to load, but let me show you. You see, it'll do like a side by side, and it'll tell you what changed. I don't know if you could see that, what it fixed, the original version, mid-skate, the wording, what it changed. It described both arms doing things. So see, that's me. I leaned on ChatGPT too much, and they said both arms were doing things, and I didn't read it. So that's my bad. And so they changed it and they re-emphasized it, single black hockey stick to reinforce count for the AI. So if you ask ChatGPT, why did this happen, or tell me the difference, she'll tell you. See, and now she only has one hockey stick.
Great. And I think something that I think would be really cool is so people can see how you can use ChatGPT to recolor that. Marcus, I
Oh
believe
yeah,
you were looking at like a sort of red, white, and blue uniform. Is that correct? Looked like a Rangers uniform.
Yeah,
Rangers uniform.
this is the Oakville Rangers Hockey League where I run from.
Gotcha.
Huh.
Cool. So Christina, do you want to take that prompt into ChatGPT, the same one that you just had that was working?
Okay.
And and I think the other thing that I want to just point out here, I think people get a little bit overwhelmed with ChatGPT, but one of the things that's so nice about it is you just talk to it like a human.
Yeah.
So why don't you read out loud what you're typing so people.
Okay. Sure. What was the team again that you wanted? I forgot the colors. Sorry, your mic is off.
The Rangers,
Rain.
not the New York Rangers, different Rangers, but I'm not familiar with which ones.
It was red, white, and
Oakville.
blue.
It's Oakville, Oakville,
Okay.
and Rangers.
Oakville Rangers. Okay. Please, I'm asking ChatGPT, please update the prompt to change the colors of the hockey. What is it? Close to Oakville Rangers hockey team, no logos, regulation style. Of course, unless you have permission to use logos, then you would do that.
Someone in the chat, Tiffany, thank you for chiming in. What can you just turn on your microphone and while this is coming together, explain a little bit more about what you mean by render testing, because that can mean a few different things.
I'm sorry, I meant more like stress testing that you were speaking about. So
Oh yeah.
you get the customer, you're talking to them, and what does that conversation look like so that you're making sure that their event will go well. What things are you testing in the AI?
Yeah.
Are you testing body size, different body sizes, races, hair colors? Like what are you
Yeah.
stress testing?
All of the above is the answer. So
Okay.
as Christina drops this in, so one of the things you do is you just test the same prompt on a bunch of different photos. So we have at Outsnap, we have a few hundred photos that we've collected over time of people of different shapes and sizes. And we just run them. And we see if there are any outliers. And as I mentioned, if you have things with color variations, those can change the outputs. The demeanor that people make in the photos. We have this really incredible story of something that we didn't test for because we didn't think to test for it originally. Is demeanor, the faces that people are making in photos. So if you request a specific look, so smiling, happy, determined, it's going to change the likeness a little bit. So we typically try on the Outsnap side, try not to do that. If someone looks grumpy in real life, I want them to look grumpy in AI. If someone looks ecstatic, same and same. We did a project for a legal startup. Oh, here you go. So this looks like the right colors, but the wrong versions of those colors, right, Marcus? Or is that like a home or?
Yes, this would be looks like their away outfit. So the home would be more of a white,
Yep. So,
opposite those colors. But it's pretty good. It's got stripes. The hockey stick is good. The action is good. The rink looks good. It's even got fans in it. It looks great.
yeah. And so I think that's the kind of thing where, so pretend that we are very happy with this output now, because it's going to take you a lot of renders to get very happy with an output. I want to be clear about that. What you would do is get to the point where you're very happy with an output and then test it with a different body type, a different person of different shape and size. And we're always looking for the sweet spot. So like think of this as like this is 100% likeness and this is 100% what I want.
Yeah.
And you have to find the right spot where the most people look the most of the way that like themselves and the most of the way you want it to look is kind of the answer. So
My only change would be on that generation would be just to have a hockey helmet on the subject.
Hockey helmet. Okay, I could try that. I feel like with my experience, with putting helmets on that I've come across personally is that because the software is so good at keeping the guest's natural hair intact, it won't force the style out of the way. And so you might see some bleed through of the helmet, but we can do that. So
Yeah, I understand exactly what you mean.
yeah.
It could be best not to have a helmet, but just for shits and giggles, let's see what it does.
Yeah.
Out
And so,
of curiosity, Marcus, does the client want the helmet on? Because I feel like a lot of times what I've run into is that you lose you can't see the person as well when they have helmets on, so it kind of defeats the purpose of having the photo.
That's a great point. Yeah, very good point.
So what I'm asking right now, so I'm not copying and pasting the whole thing over, I'm asking ChatGPT, what changed from the last prompt? Please specify the section. Because sometimes I don't like copying and pasting over the same things if it didn't change very much. So specific details is where we keep the clothing and whatnot in there. Helmet, style, helmet integration. So style and specific details. Shallow depth, high speed capture, freezes decisive. Let's try this. Oops.
And as you're doing that, I'll just some more on the render testing. It's really just about iteration and iteration and doing it to the point that you feel comfortable. You can't solve for every single thing. So in the example that I was sharing, we did a project for a legal startup, and we made these beautiful watercolor courtroom sketches of the lawyers. And we got it done earlier, and we were so excited about it. We sent it to the client, and at like 1 a.m. on a Thursday, we started getting these emails saying it made us look like criminals. So we didn't specify that this was the lawyer. It was just a courtroom sketch of someone speaking in court. And because all these people were working late at night and they looked really grumpy and angry, the AI looked at them and was like, "Oh, these are clearly the criminals, not the people who are being paid to be in court." So when we countered it by saying, professional demeanor, defending a criminal, blah 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 blah, and then it overrode it. But I thought it was really interesting. So people don't think every single detail, whether someone's wearing a green shirt, a red shirt, if they're tall, skinny, whatever, it's going to affect the outputs.
So what happened here on my test is that she's not wearing a helmet at all. So I went back to ChatGPT and I told ChatGPT, I said, hey, there's no helmet here. We need to emphasize it. They'll give me some feedback. What happened? How do we fix it? Update the wording. And so ChatGPT has updated the prompt that I'm going to copy and paste and put it in here and test and see if she gets a helmet.
And something else to note here is that in the new version of the prompt editor that we're putting out, you'll be able to cut and paste that whole prompt into one field. You won't have to put it into multiples. You can keep the same format likely, but you won't need to cut and paste multiple times.
Is there a space for negative prompts? What you don't want, definitely like don't want in the photo,
Great
in the
question.
image?
So on the back end, we have spent a lot of time with the negative prompting, and I wouldn't call it negative prompting. I would call it guardrails in this case. So we spent a lot of time, and we have I don't want to call them generic because the thousands and thousands and thousands of renders to get this list. So we've done a lot of that heavy lifting for you. We've also found that unless you really know what you're doing with negative prompting and prompting, a negative prompt can have accidental opposite uses. So by introducing the word of the thing you don't want, it can then actually do the thing you don't want it to do. And
Yes.
we have not exposed that, but you can in the positive prompt. So the prompt that we have here say no XYZ. As
Yeah.
well.
I love that, to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I jumped over to this other prompt that I had made before, just to kind of show you what it looks like when the helmet does show up. So this was the original one that I did, and then I tried to do different variations trying to get logos out. So you can see my workflow, the changes that I made, trying to work out getting logos from the prompt. So these are all the different variations that I came up with, and he has the helmet on and off like that. So you guys good with the hockey one? Did you guys, and see the stick did something strange there. You can see.
Yeah,
It's not
hockey's,
perfect,
hockey's,
but you got to work on it. What was that? I'm sorry.
hockey's great. I love the stadium, the crowd, and got the yellow border like a normal rink. It looks great.
Yeah, and I'm saving these so we can any prompts that we make here live will also shoot out to you guys so you guys can play with, okay? So I'm saving them as we go. I think someone else said they wanted to do track and field. Is that right? Let me see. Move my little thing here.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you doing that, Hockey.
Oh yeah, no worries.
And I can't say it enough. What we're seeing today is like the first 10, 15 minutes of this exercise, right? And I know on the OutSnap side, we can spend between 20 and 40 hours on a prompt. That's for something extremely sophisticated. You don't need to spend that much time on all of them, but you should be, if you spend 2 or 3 hours on a prompt, that is an expectation that I would not be surprised by. So what we're seeing today, I just don't want anyone to see this and be like, oh, we're not getting there. We are essentially painting with the broad brushstrokes now, and then you'd have to go in and play with these riddles to figure out what words you need to change to get the helmet to exist, or what words you need to change to get the uniform and the home jersey versus the away jersey, etc. So, and another thing is like we've had prompts that we've spent hours and hours and hours working on, and at the very end we notice that there's a typo in the prompt, and if we remove the typo, everything else breaks because we inadvertently were solving for this typo we made at some point. So similar to someone pointed out ink versus rink before, right? If we hadn't caught that, or if the ChatGPT hadn't caught that, we would have like maybe random ink spots and we wouldn't know why, and we just keep trying to fight getting rid of that without realizing we had inadvertently asked for it somewhere else. So as you work on this track and field one, we have about 10 minutes left for questions. If people want to throw questions in the chat, or if someone wants to just turn on their microphone and throw out a question, we're happy to help. We probably have time for 2 or 3 questions while Christina is playing here.
Is there any capability of animation after, an event and the customer might want that? I know probably during it, you probably won't have time, but something like that, like in post, any type
So
of
just
movements.
to make sure I'm understanding your question correctly, if this image that Christina just created were to then animate, is that the question?
Yes, yes.
I'm not allowed to tell you, or I'm going to get in trouble,
Okay.
that you can be excited about something like that coming maybe soon, but I can't get into details yet.
Thank you.
Wait, just to clarify, was that Tiffany, you wanted to know if it can turn into like a video animation, or you want it to be like an animation style, like a Pixar style?
Actually, like actual movement, like she's gonna like run or even turn that into a video. There's so
Hmm.
much going on. Yeah, just any type of movement, is even small movement that would probably really wow the customer.
Yeah.
Yeah, just any type of, yeah,
So
movement.
did you read between my lines? You got what I was saying?
Yeah, yes, I
You
did.
got what I was not saying? Just kidding. Yeah, so we're very excited about that. We're beta testing similar things. We're beta testing so many things. And just so everyone knows what that process is like, we will beta test something internally for as long as it takes. Then we will field test things. So we'll bring them out to OutSnapped events and make sure that we have the problem so you don't need to. And when things are battle tested, we will start sharing them. We also do have some betas that we will offer to folks, but they just have to agree that they know it's a beta, so things can go wild still. And if you're interested in that kind of thing, you can type, please let me know about beta stuff, and we will let you know about that in the future.
I have that word stuck in my head now, battle tested. I like that.
Believe me, the battle testing can be a real battle.
Yeah, I believe it. So I don't know if you guys were watching. I did do track and field, but I told ChatGPT that she came out stylized, which is great if that's what you're looking for. But I asked ChatGPT to edit the prompt because I'm trying to stick to the editorial realism look. So I'm just kind of showing you the feedback loop of, you get something, it's close to what you want, but not quite really. And so I went back here and asked ChatGPT to update it. And now we're just waiting for this to render.
So one of the few things that Christina and I do not agree upon, which I think is an interesting thing is for me, having come from the photography world,
Yeah.
and setting these things up with scenic, sure, there are worlds in which I would use editorial realism to create a thing versus spending $1 million on a set, etc. Put someone at the top of a mountain, etc. What I think is so cool and lovely about AI is that you can carry on this story without you can carry on a brand story without having to invest in scenic or whatever. And so in that, I've also found that it's really nice to actually create things that do not look like photographs. So I personally love the animation style, not necessarily Pixar or a specific cartoon, painterly things that I can't do as a photographer. And I think those also offer a little bit of latitude. Like if there's a painted version of you and the hair isn't just right, people understand the concept of a painter not being 100% accurate, whereas something that looks like a photo can be a little confusing to people that it's not them, it's 99.9% them. Cool. Well, Christina is tinkering. We have time for one last question.
I don't know why I'm getting your messages.
There's occasionally a word in the prompt. I ran into this kind of recently too, where it was messing with it. I can look under the hood later and see what that word is. In the meantime, do we have any last questions from folks?
Well, I've never heard of Pictor till the other day and saw it in a group. So how would we as a business look into pricing, integrating this into our workflow?
Yeah, you just send us the last four of your social and your mother's maiden name, and we take care of everything else. Now, if you head over to pictor.pro, I'll put
Okay.
it in the chat. Let me get to that link.
Thank you both, by the way.
Oh yeah, no,
You.
thank you for joining us and watching me here tinker and giving me ideas.
Okay, so I'm going to drop this in the chat for everyone. So something that we believe in firmly at Pictor is that you should be able to try before you buy. So you have access to every feature that is open to the community currently by setting up an account. You will have to pay for tokens because unfortunately GPU is not free, but you're going to get a bunch to start on the house. And then when you are ready to do your first event is when you'd have to swipe your credit card. We have monthly and yearly packages as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong here, but you guys did see the first one. Was there anything else you guys wanted me to try? I don't know how much time we have.
I think we're out of time for now, but one of the other things that I also wanted to point out about Christina, and one of the things that's so great about having met her recently, is she can also take on your custom prompt requests. So we at Pictor have gotten a lot of requests for custom prompts, and we haven't been able to pick them up because we're working on feature after feature after feature. So one of the things that I think will be really great is we'll be able to, if you need a custom prompt made or want a custom prompt made, or even, I don't know, Christina, if you're offering lessons, things like that, we will be happy to put you in touch with Christina. Christina can create the prompt for you. We can move it to your account, etc. So that's something that we can connect everybody directly with Christina. So everyone who came today is going to get a custom prompt pack from Christina. When do you think that'll go out, Christina?
So I think Garrett is going to be taking care of that today. He's supposed to be touching base.
Yes, we'll have it out today, and we'll add those few that Christina did today. We
Great.
will make sure we include hockey and track and field.
Great. So, and also, Christina, do you have that up on your screen at all, just so people can?
Okay. Yes, I'll show you. My version is not pretty yet, okay, because I don't Canva, but these are the ones
That's a-okay.
included. So
The one thing that I wanted people to realize is while these are very specific prompts, if you read these through, you'll start to really understand the structure. We did a lot today, and it was probably hard for people to take things in, but being able to look at these, we pause for 1 second.
Yeah.
Scroll down a teeny bit. Right, so just there it says, and the word baseball in bold, unbranded typography, right? So that's, I think, one of the biggest tips is like, instead of saying no logo, replace a logo with something. You know, for this US Open event we were having tons of problems with all these Nike logos showing up. So instead of saying no logo, we said, put an embroidered tennis ball logo on all the clothing. So those are different ways to do it. But as you go through this structure, you'll start to see things over and over again. So Christina, for example, kept saying editorial realism. That you'll start to see as a specific style. And you can, when you're playing with ChatGPT, and I encourage you to, you can say, hey, help me edit this prompt so it's in 4 different styles. Then you can drop that into the into the prompter, and you can see what those styles look like that are different. So you'll get to see how those levers work.
Yeah, you can even pop one of these prompts in there and ask ChatGPT to help you shape it for like a bobblehead type sports prompt. So you can really get creative. So you can use this as like a cheat sheet and a base to kind of just pop it in there and then manipulate it with ChatGPT to fit what it is you're looking for.
Thanks for doing that track and field, Christina, by the way. I requested that. That was great.
No problem. We're going to include that in the prompt pack so you guys can play with it some more, okay?
I just wanted to show a few different things. So on the Pictor app, once you register, you'll be able to create your account. And there's a few places that I find to me are the most important are our feedback area. And this is where Christina went through and actually pulled those prompt requests from. So this area is super important. This is also how we determine what we're going to be putting on the roadmap. Then we got another person joining again. And we also have our support. With the free accounts, support is usually about a 24-hour turnaround. With the subscription accounts, it's significantly faster. A pro account, there is phone support as well. We also have our Facebook group, which I encourage everyone to join, and also to join Christina's Facebook group. Let's put this in the chat. And as well as Pictor's Facebook group. And this is where we're posting the webinar recaps, upcoming events, and I'm trying to find the reference. Oh, here's a bobblehead that Christina did. We do have it somewhere. Let's see where Eve's posted. I can't find it, but we'll share it in the recap notes for this, a little teaser on the video. So that brings us to our end. Sorry again about the snafu with Zoomy at the end there, but we're going to get this recording out to everybody. We'll include Christina's contact information in that, a link to her Facebook group, custom prompts. She's available for that. You can discuss those directly with her. And you're going to start to see some more prompts popping up, within the app that Christina has created. As we'll have a little PBFX logo on them, so you'll be able to try those as well. So thank you to everybody who came. It means so much to us that you spend your afternoons with us, and we can't wait to see what you create. So turn it over to Christina to just sign off, and then we'll call it a day.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I was really nervous. This is my first webinar, but I'm super excited. And I'm excited to work with you all and interact more in the community. So thank you for the warm welcome and being patient with me while I troubleshoot life.
It was great. Thank you.
And to anyone who's still here who would like beta access to some of those features, please go ahead and drop your email in the chat before you sign out, and just with the word beta, just so we know and we can get some of that information over to you. I also want to set expectations. You're not going to get an email today that's like, here's video. But when video is ready, we are going to want people to play with it, test it, etc. We also have some other really cool features coming out. I'm not going to say anything, but I happen to have one of these on my desk that I've been playing with. So to give you an idea of some of those beta testers that we're going to need in the next few days. So thank you to everyone once again for spending your afternoon with us, and we'll talk soon. I'm just going to record an outro here that we can splice back in. So unfortunately, we had a little Zoom crash. We lost a bunch of people, but I just wanted to wrap it up. We have some really, really exciting things coming very, very soon that we're going to share with you. Some of those, as we teased, are going to be some AI video, perhaps something with one of these that we have that I've been testing, and we're gonna need some beta testers. So if you would like to beta test, please do get in touch and let us know. Thank you so much and have a great day.